All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. We are super excited to have our friend ACO Pro Katlyn Hamm on the show. Katlyn, how's it going?
It's going good. How about y'all?
Doing great, doing great.
Doing awesome. Thank you. Before we dive into this episode, I just want to thank our sponsors, Triple Crown, really quickly. Definitely go check out their event. It's called the Billion Auto Cornhole Classic, and they're doing it out at the casino out in Iowa, and it's going to be awesome. It'll be on their Facebook page and everything like that. So like anything Triple Crown, you can just go to their Facebook page. They just did a really cool giveaway with some sweet black and red Vikings that I want with all my heart, but I didn't even enter, so it's my fault.
I've seen those on Facebook. They looked really good.
Yeah, those things are really cool bags. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show, and we really appreciate that. So let's get into it. Katlyn, it blew my mind when I saw this, but you won women's singles out in Louisville, right?
No, not
Kansas
Louisville.
City, I'm sorry.
Kansas, yeah.
Kansas.
Oh my gosh, how was that? Can you tell me just about the experience and how it went?
Well, that was like my first. Louisville was my first Open, but they didn't have women's there. So Kansas was my first ever women's at an Open, and I didn't really know what to expect. I was a nervous wreck. And my first game, it did not. I barely won it because I couldn't find the middle. I was so nervous. And then I calmed my nerves down and I got it together. And then I ran through the winner's bracket and had to play that Ashley Wicca, I think.
Okay.
And she threw fire, and I barely beat her to get to the winner's final. And then I sat, and then I had to play her again. And then I wanted that plaque so bad, and I let her get me. That first game, and that second game, I just got all my nerves together, and I just didn't really miss. And I finally got it.
Yeah, you did awesome. I mean, and everybody who's played cornhole knows that sometimes sitting in the queen or king seat is a very difficult position because you have to wait for so long. And this is a perfect example of that, by the way, because she's in the losers bracket and she's playing. She's working out all the kinks from her loss. She's playing these people. She's getting white hot. And here's Katlyn sitting over here waiting. Yep. So it's not always surprising when you drop that first game, because you're trying to get back in your rhythm. You're trying to get back in, get back in the zone, so to speak. But it was amazing that you were able to pull that off, because I know, like you said, it was your first showing in the women's division of an Open, and you took it down. And to me, it's just to win any tournament is really amazing. But to show up like you did and just burn everybody down all the way to the end. It was really amazing. We're all very proud of you.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would you say that game, I guess it was the semifinal, the one that took you to the final, was that your toughest game?
It probably was. I threw a 10.63. That was the best game I threw all day.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. Heck yeah. I watched a lot of the games, and yeah, you threw amazing. I was your strategy just kind of obviously you throw Vipers, so they're Viper C's, right?
No,
they're just series Vipers.
Oh, okay, the series, my bad.
Yeah.
And so you're just, you had a great game plan. Just stay up the middle and throw bags in the hole. I think that's a pretty solid plan, and it worked out for you.
Right.
It did.
So we have seen you and Maddie McBride all over the place recently, and you guys are showing up playing with Matt Guy and Ryan Windsor and Sam Finley and Rosie Streaker and everybody in the USA cornhole crew format and everything. We see you guys everywhere now, and you guys are just so amazing. And I don't actually live out there in Memphis, but when I do come in town, I see you guys play and how much you guys are progressing, and it's just crazy to watch. And so Could you tell us a little bit about the kitty girls, as you guys call yourselves, and like what you're trying to do with all of that?
So me and Maddie were just sitting here in my room one day, just coming up with random crap, and kitty girl just happened to be one of them, and it was like the only one that ever stuck. And we just started calling people at cornhole that, and then now everybody at cornhole knows what it is. And then me and her just started talking about it, and we're like, we need to make a Facebook page. So we did that, and we got over 1,000 members within 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we got the jerseys made, and then we're now selling pups and shirts from Timmy Klinger.
Okay,
cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
What's the is it just how would someone find your Facebook page?
Just search up Kitty Girl Cornhole, and we post a lot about it and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Great.
We'll definitely put that down in the description. So
yeah, absolutely.
Check it out for sure. Yeah, that's really cool. I wanted to say thanks. I never got to thank you personally, but like I'm really excited that the Flop logo is going to be on the sleeve of the jersey.
Yeah,
I know. I'm excited for that.
We really appreciate it. We appreciate that support. I was really like honored when your dad reached out and was like, "Hey, can we put it on there?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, you can." So,
I know. I'm like, we're nobody, but sure. I mean,
yeah, because we only had like a couple episodes out, I think, at the time when he asked, and so we're like, "Heck yeah, let's go." So did you and when you and Maddie, didn't you win the was it the high school?
We did.
Yeah, okay.
We were down our first game 20-2, and then we were like, we have got to pick it up, and we came all the way back and won.
Y'all won the game down 20-2.
We did.
Oh wow.
Heck, Maddie got so excited she put in the wrong score. She made them win.
Oh, man.
And then we played our next game, and that was to get to the king seat. And those boys, they're fire. Yeah. And we lost that one 20-15. Mm-hmm. And then played some other boys. We beat them, and then we had to play the ones we lost to for the king seat. We double dipped them.
Heck yeah.
As you do. Awesome. It doesn't surprise me one bit. That's
no,
awesome.
No, I know because I am local to you guys, and I've played you and Maddie enough by this point to where I'm never comfortable with any kind of lead that we have. Like if I'm lucky enough for whatever team I'm on to be ahead against either of you is not over until that scores 21 because you guys are just insane. I think that it's so impressive to me that you are as young as you are and just as poised as you are, because I mean, a perfect example is your open win. You know, that's a stressful situation, I think, for anyone to be in. And, you know, I know that there's going to be full grown people that are going to be in that event and just shaking like a leaf. And you are 16 and like, no big deal. I know you get nervous, but you just wouldn't know it to watch you play. And even coming from behind in some of the games that you play in these big moments. I mean, what's that like for you? Like, what's your mindset? Like when you're playing, when you step up to the boards in big game situations, like where do you go? Do you go somewhere in your head or what?
Well, so like whenever I play, I try not to think about the person playing against me, but sometimes it gets the best of me, and that's the games I usually lose. But most of the time, I just try to not let it bother me and just focus on my game and just throw my bags in the hole.
Yeah. I mean,
and always be smart and not shoot every single airmail, even though I want to.
I know you do. And you're good at them. So, I mean, it's tough to not want to do that. But yeah, that's good. I mean, Zach, how many times do we say if you put all the bags in the hole, you can't lose, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, and you guys get pretty close to that, you know? So I just wanted to ask, like, what kind of work do you guys do to what kind of work did you guys do to get from, where you guys were doing really well at blind draws and stuff to actually competing in these events? Like, what did it look like as far as your practice routine and stuff? Or was it just continuing to do what you were doing and it was just paying off?
Well, I always play these little blind draws, and then I met Linda, and she's the one who got me to ACO, and then we just play the regionals, and then I just continue to get better after practicing and practicing, and then I just kept getting more and more wins, and it all just went from there.
That's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. And Linda's a great player. Everybody knows Linda
Yeah.
Oglesby. So she's definitely a good one to get you going in there for sure. So it's and it really is just amazing how far you've come. Like I met you guys, I want to say it was 2 years ago. And the first time we really hung out was it was a Tupelo ACO major down there. And it was the first time I really got to hang out with you guys. And I really just loved your family. And I remember cheering for you so loud down there and just being as obnoxious as I totally could be, and trying to support you and what you're doing. And I just love your family. And it's been so fun to watch you over these past couple of years, especially as you have just gotten so good. It's just, I would have told people back then, that you were awesome, but you're way better than you were then. So, you're just improving and improving. And it's very impressive to watch. So I'm so glad to see you now breaking out into, the ACL events and stuff like that, because I know there typically can be a lot more national coverage at those sorts of events. And you definitely deserve to be in that coverage because you're that good. And so it's wonderful to be able to see that now and to see you growing.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
So Katlyn, I wanted to ask you about the high school division. Is obviously everyone is just so good. So it really, I feel like it's almost like not even really a transition, but like, what are the biggest differences between playing in the pro division and playing in the high school division?
I would say like the pros, they tend to play more smart and lay up, and they don't make as much mistakes as like the high school division. Like the pros, they don't ever just miss off to the side like the high schoolers do.
Okay, so it's really just that like maturity and decision making.
Just little mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that because I do realize, look, I was once a high school lad.
Whippersnapper.
I was a young whippersnapper. But I can see in the mindset of especially with the boys, I would say that everyone always says that girls mature faster, and it is very true. But especially for a boy, if you put a boy in a situation like that, he's trying to show out. I mean, he's trying, he is. He's trying to hit that roll bag, or he's trying to hit that airmail, like first bag airmail. Like you throw a block and he instantly tries to go over it and just flies off the back. So I can definitely see a level of kind of like immaturity in the high school game until they kind of iron out the mental side of things, because you're right. I mean, playing a much smarter game, the pros know, like you said, sometimes it's better to lay up than it is to try to shoot that airmail. And I think it just takes maturity to see that.
Yeah.
So as far as your playing style and your decision-making process, like what would you say your playing style is? Would you so someone throws a perfect level 1 block, but what are you going to do? Are you going to try to push through it and just make sure that you throw a 4-bagger? Like, what do you do in those situations?
I always go for hole, but whenever I get blocked, I always try to push through it. And I used to never be able to push through bags, but I've been practicing and I've gotten better at it. Or I can block sometimes if they don't kick off to the side.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I know sometimes it's hard to slow down those Vipers to block.
Right.
If I have a big lead, I'll shoot the airmail. I love shooting airmail. It's one of my favorite and best shots I can make. Yeah,
I saw you hit a double drag online the other day. That was pretty nasty. But I know that a good thing with those Vipers too is that you're so good at staying online that if the block that somebody puts on you is not perfect, you're usually able to get around it. You just kind of, you stay tight and you're able to just sneak it right on past. So that's I think that's incredible as well. It's just tough. It's tough to do. It's tough to put every bag in the hole.
Very.
Yeah.
So I had another question, Katlyn. When your throw is really interesting, your throw looks great. So I see that you raise your bag up, and I'm imagining you're just kind of like acquiring your target. You're looking at the hole as you raise your bag up, and you're trying, and then you're following through, just like a normal throw. Can you talk me through, like, are there certain things you're thinking of as you're going through the motion of throwing? Like, am I throwing my arm to the hole or opening my hand, or what do you think about?
I always just want to make sure I have my balance because I stand really close to the board.
Yeah.
And I always aim at the hole and I look about in the middle. I pretend like there's a little imaginary dot there and I always aim right at that.
Okay.
And I just swing back and then I move my pinky to like above my bag and then release about at my shoulders.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I've actually noticed that a little bit too. I've transitioned to throwing some faster bags, and I'm realizing that my best throws are when I'm releasing up close to my shoulders. Mm-hmm. I'm so used to throwing carpet where I'm throwing hard and like I don't have to release up at my shoulder. But yeah, that's a really helpful tip to release up there.
I like the dot in the board too. I think that sounds have a good aiming spot, because I always feel like I hit the middle of the board on my shot, but in reality, I don't know that I do, because every time there's a short block, somebody hits the dead spot or I hit the dead spot and I try to throw over it. I seem to always clip the back end of the bag that's sitting right on the bottom and it just shoots straight off the back. Like the worst possible situation.
It's like when I aim for the hole, I just think about it way too much. So I just aim to pretend there's an imaginary dot there.
No, I like that. Actually, I do, because that's what they do say. I mean, the bag's going to move. If you're throwing, especially if you're throwing a slick bag, it's going to move. The momentum of the throw is going to make it move. So really, yeah, that's better to aim for the target of the imaginary black dot in the center of the board than to aim for the hole, because you're more likely, I think, to hit it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when we talk about practice, like we love to talk about practice on this show. Do you practice outside of playing blind draws and tournaments?
I never practice. We have cornhole pads, but they never get used.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that, like, we hear that a lot from players that are, really successful, but we also understand, like, you guys play a lot too. Like, it's not like you guys are just not practicing. You guys are absolutely throwing all the time. And I can't think of a better way to practice than to play against live competition, Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know you guys go to lots of the local draws. And then of course your dad runs one too on Thursdays. So I know that you go to you are throwing constantly and then going on the weekends to events. So I mean, yeah, you're right, Zach. It's practicing to a point, because that's the best way to get better, is to play, in those situations, for sure. So it can be surprising when someone's like, yeah, I don't practice, but you're throwing bags. So
it's like whenever I practice by myself, I don't know. I just can't play. I'm not playing against like an actual game. It gets in my head.
Yeah.
Competitive juices don't really get flowing kind of when you're playing against yourself. Yeah. And yeah, there's no urgency. I get it.
Yeah. And it's a frustrating thing to play by yourself. I can't tell you how many times I'm just on my knees crying out to the sky in my backyard. Like, why is this happening? Like, why can't I just throw a 4-bagger? Like, and it's awesome that you don't torture yourself in that way. I think that's very mature of you.
Because we torture ourselves that way.
We do. We want to suffer as much as possible. So another thing I wanted to ask you about is you're 16, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. So I imagine you're in school. I mean, I don't know why. It's pointless. You should just, throw more back. But, are you? I'm just kidding. So, are you in public school? Or are you like homeschooled? Like, how does it work?
I'm going to Mumford High School.
Okay, awesome, cool. So that's out in I guess Covington or the city of Mumford. I don't even know.
City of Mumford.
Yeah, I'm like a detective. I really.
Ooh, nothing gets by you. Nope.
Nope. Never.
Nope, not one
Never.
thing.
Spotted that from a mile away. So I'll stop being awkward now. So how do you balance playing so much and like, are you leaving? Like, I mean, how do you balance like school and playing so much cornhole?
I go to school as much as I can, but like I'm usually out on Fridays for like majors, opens, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll take the Sunday off if I'm tired, especially on opens since those end on a Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if my history teacher was like, why don't you show up on Friday? I'd be like, are you winning, X amount of money on Friday for playing cornhole? I didn't think so. See you Monday.
Yeah. Because I'm getting paid to not be here Friday. Are you? No.
That's cool. It's so cool. Like, I don't know. I hear people a lot say things, and I'm sure you have as well. I hear people say stuff when they watch kids that are really good. Some guy said this about Eric Davis when I was at an event recently, and they're like, man, I can't wait till they have a full-time job. Like, they're not going to be near as good or whatever. It's like, man, these kids are going to school. Like, they're absolutely like having to balance being a person and stuff. And like, yeah, you may have more time, but like, I definitely want to like here on this podcast, give you guys more credit than that. Like, you guys have lives, you guys go to school, and like, do you find it challenging to actually keep up with school and make sure you're meeting your responsibilities?
It is. I have to keep a whole schedule, and I always have to carry my backpack with me to like tournaments and stuff to keep up with everything.
For sure.
Gotta be
I do
rough.
the same thing.
Nobody wants to do school on tournaments. And yeah, and Zach, he's in the Army, but he's actually in classes right now, so he's doing the same thing. He went to a regional a couple of weeks ago, and literally in between events, he had to go back to the hotel and do school. And yeah, there's nothing fun about that. But also wanted to mention, speaking to your age, that I think a pet peeve of mine that it's always kind of irked me, is when you'll hear an announcer, somebody will be commentating on a match, and they'll say, and this person's only 16 years old. And I'm like a 16-year-old's not capable of being amazing at this game. We've got a 12-year-old who's killing everybody right now. And so to say, I don't think age has anything to do with it. I just personally, I mean, I watch you and I watch Maddie and I watch, Cannon, and I watch some of our other young players that we have locally. And I'm just like, age has nothing to do with it. I mean, a 16-year-old girl has put butt whoopings on so many grownups that you can't even keep account anymore. So it always irks me when people are like, oh, and this player's only 18 years old, or this player's only 16 years old. I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything,
I get that a lot, like how old I am, and they're always like so surprised. But I don't think it matters about how old you are. I just think it matters like how good you get, and how quick you happens. And
no, absolutely. I mean, I agree with that completely. I mean, you're, like I said, you're 16 years old. You've been throwing for years, but right now you've beaten some of the best out there, and you've competed against some of the best out there. And so for me, it's just like a person's either a good cornhole player or they're not a good cornhole player. So, I mean, there's no determining factors, I don't feel like, matter, whether you're a male or a female or a 16-year-old or a 80-year-old, if you can throw bags, you can throw bags. So, I respect it.
For sure. We see people in all phases of life throw amazing. So, I think we look at people's ability and we look at who they are as a person. And I think we'll get a much better like appreciation for what they do. another thing I wanted to ask you is, what would be your advice to someone who is trying to get better quickly? You know, everybody has some time, you know, and that's something that's really cool about cornhole is like a lot of sports, once you're out of high school, it's over, you know, and, you know, I can't play, you know, soccer anymore, can't play basketball anymore. Like that's over, but cornhole, it's absolutely not. And so what advice would you give to people who are looking to, you know, be the best version of themselves and start getting better at the game?
You're not ever going to get better if you like don't quit practicing, and like it's not just going to happen overnight. Like you got to keep on grinding nonstop, and eventually everything will just happen. You'll find your grooves and you'll be unstoppable.
Oh, we agree with that. That's our mantra around here is just, you know, to keep working and just keep putting in the time and trust the process. Right, Zach?
Yep.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So that's awesome. I appreciate you saying that. I love when I hear it. Every time I talk to a pro, I just hear the same thing. And it's this, that you have to keep working and you have to keep grinding and you have to just endure, you know, like sometimes you're not gonna do well, and that's okay, because it's not necessarily about today. It's about the big picture and who you're going to be over the course of a long period of time. And so, yeah, it's awesome. I'm just building up evidence over and over again that, you know, people aren't just naturally gifted at this, like they can be, but for the most part, the people that are the best at this are the ones that put in the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to ask you, I like to do this with everybody that we interview. I like to ask, what is your greatest weakness and what is your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest weakness would probably be laying up. I cannot lay up at all. Like last night, me and Maddie were partners, and all I had to do was lay up, and I threw it short. Like,
oh no,
I can't do it. And then my nerves have always been really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But my greatest weakness would probably be air mouse. I can definitely do that.
Oh, your biggest strength. Sorry, I think you said your biggest weakness, but yeah, your biggest strength could be air mills. Yeah, you're definitely good at those.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, yeah, I will take your skill level. I'll make a deal with the devil. I'll take your skill level, and then we'll make the deal. I'll never be able to lay up a bag again, but I'll have your skill level, and I would take it every day of the week.
Every day.
Yeah.
Just as long as nobody says board it, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yep, that's the magic word. You can't do it after they say board it.
Hardest shot in cornhole. Hardest shot in cornhole.
It is. I can't do it.
It's the only thing you can't do.
Yeah, that's about it. That's a good weakness to have. Just a small list of weaknesses there.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you say like your biggest accomplishment as far as cornhole goes? What would you say that is? Is there an event that you're super proud of? Is the Open you just won like kind of that moment for you? I mean, like
I think that, and then winning Tupelo women's, and then me and Maddie playing on NBC Sports.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And getting that win, that was amazing. So everybody got to see that. Yeah.
So, Katlyn, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I personally got a lot out of this. Every time I talk to someone that is, you know, a pro level, it helps me so much. And I love doing this show because we're really just trying to get better. That's what we're trying to do. And we're trying to get better, and we're trying to talk to great people and have an awesome community where we can all grow together. So I really want to thank you for being a part of that. Also, I would like to say, I'll put the Kitty Girls link down below so people can check it out. Hopefully you get a little bit more traffic there. I definitely need to get a hold of one of these jerseys. If you think I won't wear a purple and pink jersey with the flop logo on the sleeve, you're wrong. So
I got one coming.
Sweet.
So
We're coming out with Kitty Boy jerseys soon too.
Oh, are you?
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time, and good luck with everything in the future. Do you have anything that you want people to know about while you're here on the show?
I know I have played in a regional this weekend, and I'm going to Bentonville Major the next weekend.
Sweet.
Nice.
Mm.
Are you
And that's
doing
all I have planned as right now?
Oh, nice. Is this the which regional is it you're going to this weekend?
Linda's ACO.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So ACO regional this weekend and then Bentonville Major next weekend. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be watching because I know your dad's always going live. So we'll definitely be watching you. And so if anybody else wants to, it's Andy Hamm is her dad. And so he's the one that does the live streaming. So anybody wants to check her out.
Cool. Well, we appreciate it so much, Katlyn. Thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate the support as always. If you guys want some flop merch, in addition to your new Kitty Girl merch that you're required to buy because Katlyn is here and, it would just be rude not to, you can go to our Teespring link down below, check out some flop merch, check out Triple Crown. Great talking with you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Katlyn.
Thank y'all.